Hey, welcome back to Visions Now Supper Club. All views expressed for their educational and journalistic purposes, they're not the views of the management, advertisers, and our staff of 92.1 FM. However, Visions does desire to bring a quality entertainment program which intellectually stimulates and culturally fulfills our community's needs to develop leadership and informed decision-making for our collective future. Welcome to the village. Often imitated, but never duplicated. I'm Dr. Jaylene Hood, your host and executive producer. Welcome.
You have inside of yourself, the more you think you need outside of yourself to make yourself feel like you are something. But if we began to really baptize our mind into a thorough knowledge of ourself and began to feed our mind scriptural wisdom about the greatness of the original people and the power we have, the fact that we are the direct descendants of God himself. We literally are children of the Most High God, born with God's genetic makeup, holy heredity, and divine DNA. Prosperity is built in our plasma. When you start learning the rich legacy of where we came from, not just historically, but scripturally, then you start operating in the world where you have so much inside of you that anything you add to the outside is just a bonus, but it doesn't define you as who and what you really are. This literacy thing, financial literacy, it is good, but it has to transfer into wisdom and understanding of finances. In my meta-analysis of over 100 books on finance and investment, etc., I found that white people teach their children not just financial literacy, but teach them financial understanding and financial comprehension. And the general rule that you'll find that most Caucasian and wealthy people teach their children is to follow what's called the 10-10-10-70 rule. 10% of your money you should give to a cause you believe in, charity. 10% of your money you should save, put it in a savings account for yourself. The other 10% you should develop an investment fund to figure out how you can find something to make your money work for you instead of you working for your money. And then the rest of your life should be lived off that 70%. And I've also found that you'll see that wise people, they do not buy something once if they can't buy it twice. And if we started following that 10% charity, 10% investment fund, 10% saving, living off of 70%, not buying something once if we couldn't afford to buy it twice, we'll find that we are putting ourselves in a position where we always have cushion capital to deal with the problems of life, and we will not be engaged in this excessive unnecessary toil that comes from poverty. We'll be able to have a freer mind, less stress, and be able to have access to our creativity, find our purpose, fulfill our purpose, and get some real joy and happiness out of life.
Survive without a man. We do all the time, all over the country for years. We can survive without sexual intimacy. We can survive. We can make it. All right. But we're not satisfied. Okay. I'm not going to say happy because the word happy is not in the Bible, the Torah, or the Quran, so it can't be that important. They've made it important to us because we spend money for happiness. All right. And we think it's everybody pick out what they want to have happiness, all right? But as I said, peace is the number one thing that creates happiness and allows all of the other things to grow and happen. But we're very lonely because of our men being so discouraged right now. Okay. Some of our best brothers are in prison. Okay. They get a different education there. And we are struggling, of course, with the mental health issues that has been forced on you by living in a hostile environment your entire life. Okay. A personal rejection is very, very, that's hard to handle over the years. You know, many of you have been rejected by your father. Some of you have been rejected even by your mother and the entire society. That's very hard, and we don't consider that. Now, I know right now it looks like we're having a harder time, but we ain't never had as hard a time as you, because the enemy has always tried to take your place and make you look inadequate by giving us everything we need for us and our children to survive. The entire objective is to keep you and me apart. Whatever the risk is, whatever the cost is, they would rather deal with that than allow us to get together. You know, when I was young, they used to say that mafia stood for Mothers and Fathers and Association. I don't know if that's true, but it makes sense, all right? Because you can always do better with a helpmate. You can do better with peace, all right? That's the greatest inspiration, all right? I know how it affects myself. As I've written books over the years, I couldn't do them if anything else was going on. If I was waiting to pay my taxes, or if I had to go to a doctor appointment or something at the school, I could not do anything until completely everything was out of my head, everything calmed down where I was at peace, and then the ideas could come in. And creativity is like that. As I said, I know that it's that, because it just come into you, and then you have to get it out of you, no matter what it is. You know, we are creative like that. We are just, as an example, the white art museums. There's nothing but nonsense in there. We know it's just pure silliness. That art they talk about as art makes no sense. Their paintings are all, if it'll be maybe exactly like something. Now they like that realism, because then they don't have to create nothing. Just paint the apple and there it is, and it's already an apple there, you know. But it comes up out of you. You don't have to have that kind of inspiration. If you can get cooled out, it bothers you so long until you have to get it out.
Prejudice and racism, of course, it does not exist in all white people, but there's enough that kicks everybody in the backside, so that you know that there are enough people who are against you because you are black, that you become paranoid, which is not an evil word to say, because there are white people who are paranoid. They're white, Jewish, Irish, or whatever. They're paranoid about who they are and what people are going to say about it. I happen to feel that man himself will always be against somebody. If we all had black skin, brown hair, brown eyes, everybody included, we'd still be after the dude with the freckle or the bent toe. There would still be somebody we were trying to do that pecking order thing with. I mean, there are certain routines that I can tell on a stage which deals with an all black audience that I would not tell on television. Wouldn't allow it, because there are some white people who would laugh at that and say, yeah, that's them, and that's why they ain't going to get the so far from the so on. You understand what I'm saying? We don't want the white people laughing at us, because so far, you know, it's just America has allowed these people who are against us to still exist. To all I'm saying is that there is a solution to this, which the government itself has not made an effort or a step to take care of. So we all, I believe, are at each other's throats because the government has not laid down the laws of this land as far as the Constitution is concerned. We still put up with people like Wallace. We still listen to folks like an Agnew. And I really mean that. The things that he said about, no, wait a minute. I don't want you to clap for any of these things because these are my thoughts, and I don't want you to take sides. I just want you to think about what I'm saying. For instance, the things that Mr. Agnew has said at times, if you weigh these things, you know what he's saying, and you know why he's popular in certain places. You know that when certain people argue about, well, they're taking over, there's no way that all of the black people can ever really get together as well as all of the white people can get together and go down and kill, so forth and so on. Ain't no way. I think it's the silliest thing in the world for somebody to get riled up because two black men show up with a gun and we're going to kill everybody. That's some kind of fantasy that you've laid out that you know in your heart it ain't going to exist. You tell me and prove to me that black people are violent and that they're going to take over, and I can open up the New York Daily News and show you white people who are killing their daughters, their husbands, their wives, their children, killing each other off. Well, if we put that in the paper and make it black and white, which is where the whole thing happens, it's in the paper. If a black man does something, it says, John Jones, black this, said black, 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 and did the black, black. Now, if a white man does it, it isn't white man Jones. It's just a man. Nondescript, just a regular old raggedy man went out, killed his two daughters and his wife, and shot himself. Now, if he does that, then everybody seems to just either sympathize with it or let it go out the window. But if a black man does it, then any white bigot can point his finger and say, see that? There they go again. Well, that isn't right. It isn't right. And it isn't right to try and let America go this way, because as a black man who is becoming a school teacher who is aiming to teach not only poor blacks, but poor whites as well, and treat everybody equally. I mean, I can't bring it upon myself to say, well, because I've suffered, now I'm going to kick this little white kid. And I'm going to step on him. Or somebody's mother comes up and says, Mr. Cosby, I enjoyed your show. Or for me to look at her and say, well, you're trash because I know all of your people. I don't live that way, and I try not to teach my children to live that way, because prejudice and racism, of course, it does not exist in all white people.
Year in 2013 would be almost exactly 300 years since Willie Lynch put his methods on black folk. He said it would take 300 years. He said, what I'll do is to show you how you divide blacks. You divide blacks along the lines of skin color. You rig it so every black will look at another black skin color first and say, is he a yellow black or black black? And that way you've already divided them. You divide them along the lines of sex, so that all of a sudden you have black women joining the feminist movement against their own black men. They're trying to beat them out of jobs and opportunity and visibility to take care of their families. So you divide them along the lines of sex. Then you divide them along the lines of age, where the old turn against the young turn against the old, and say, you're ancient, you're old, I don't want to listen to you anymore. And it worked very effectively. And Willie Lynch put that on them. Called divide and conquer. Divide and conquer was the same in 1710 as it was in 1950 in Korea. And black folk became invited. And so from 1750 up to about from 1710 up to 1750, the system started going into effect. The social conditioning, the brainwashing of black folk took off full steam then. Because see, now they were very concerned about all these black slaves. We had to control them. And people said, well, how do you control, how are we going to control them? And said, the first way, and there are three ways you do it, but the first way is by physical control. Always control a black person physically. That's what slavery is about. The second way of controlling was called Jim Crowism. Then you control him legally. And the third way you control him is when we came out of the civil rights movement, which means symbolically. You control him by manipulating symbols. We'll talk about that in a few minutes. So they went into the first thing of controlling black folk physically with slavery. By 1750, the black population got up to 34% in America. And they were very concerned about this because you see all these slaves were pouring in across the water, so they started advertising to bring in more immigrants. They said, what we need are more white immigrants to dilute. Remember, I told you the Diversity Act said we must have so many whites. So we got to have an immigration law that bring in more whites to neutralize blacks out, to keep them contained, to keep them as a minority.
Now, I found out that the Greeks, who were supposed to have been the founders of civilization because they were the first civilized white folks, but the Greeks got their civilization from the Egyptians, and the Egyptians were black people. And the Greeks passed their civilization on to the Romans. They couldn't retain it. They lost it. They had a dark age in Europe for 500 years. And then another bunch of Africans, the Moors from North Africa, moved into Spain and started civilization all over again. So instead of Europe civilizing Africa, Africa has civilized Europe 2 times. They said that the earth was flat like a pancake out in the vastness of space, with the sun and the moon and all the stars going around it. The ancient Egyptians in the Pyramid Age, 6,000 years ago, knew that the world was round. They knew that it went around the sun in 365 and 1/4 days. They measured the circumference of the earth, and they calculated it so accurately until modern astronomers said their error was only 1 yard. Circumference of the earth is about 25,000 miles, and they calculated it with an error of about this, 1 yard. Now, I found out
to have your kids in front of an iPad at a restaurant or an iPhone, to have your kids on an iPad or an iPhone in the backseat of a car while you're driving, just to be able to keep them calm, keep them entertained, keep them from basically being loud and obnoxious kids, you're really doing 2 very bad things. 1, you're killing brain cells on that kid. Number 2, like all that blue light flashing in their face and the lack of interaction. Remember, to have your kids in front of an iPad at a restaurant or an iPhone, to have your kids on an iPad or an iPhone in the backseat of a car while you're driving, just to be able to keep them calm, keep them entertained, keep them from basically being loud and obnoxious kids, you're really doing 2 very bad things. 1, you're killing brain cells on that kid. Number 2, like all that blue light flashing in their face and the lack of interaction. Remember.
Good evening, family. Good evening, family. Excuse me. I hope everybody's having a good week so far. We're glad y'all was able to make it back for yet another installment of Visions Now. I'm your producer for the evening, Julian, and like always, we got a real good show for y'all. But of course, we're gonna start off with just a few announcements. On September the 6th, that will be next Friday. There's an all-white birthday party hosted by the Boys on the Hill. Again, an all-white birthday party, September the 6th. Birthday celebration for Tea Time. It's going to be on, again, September the 6th, starting at 7 p.m. The location is 1824 Victory Drive. Again, 1824 Victory Drive. The doors open at 7 and the tickets are $15. Want to definitely make sure y'all get out there. Again, that's September the 6th, the Boys on the Hill. All-white birthday party celebration for Tea Time. And that's going to be at 1824 Victory Drive. Again, the tickets are $15 and the doors open at 7. But without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get right into the show. How you doing this evening, Doc?
All right, now, so one other event, the
Yes,
Kings
sir.
of Comedy, going to be at the center stage.
Oh, yeah.
And if they want further information about tickets and things of that sort, they can give us a call at 706-221-4830. And we'll pass it on to Brother Johnny Taylor.
Yes, sir.
You know, so there's a lot of things going on for grown folks. For grown folks, I guess we can still, for grown folks. Okay.
Yes, sir. I'm good.
So there's a lot of good things going on. Of course, that all-white party, as you mentioned, with Boys on the Hill, and then the Kings of Comedy. So I'm going to try to make both of those to stick my head in the door and show some love and just to support, you know, and
Yes,
hopefully
sir.
if anybody like that listening and from Boys in the Hill, call on in and tell us a little bit about what's going on. It's gonna be somebody's birthday party too. We're gonna be celebrating that night.
Yes, sir.
And also, Johnny, if you got listening or whatever, I think I'm being choked over here, Julie. I don't know why.
Oh,
You know, give us a call and let us know who the comics are. Hopefully, we'll be able to have maybe one of the kings of comedy on with us next Wednesday. I mean, the next Thursday, to talk a little bit about you know, what's going on.
yes, sir.
And by the way, our African proverb says that if your mouth turns into a knife, it will cut off your lips.
Oh.
I don't want my mouth to be a knife. You know, hopefully my mouth will be a heel. It will be healing.
Yes, sir.
You know, so that means I have healthy lips. No doubt about it. So again, what's our from our collegiate generation? What's going on out there at Columbus State?
Again, just getting the school year kicked off pretty well. Again, a lot of different things going on. Really, as you mentioned last week, well, we are definitely building up some more steam for the NAACP.
All right.
And really, what we're looking to do this year is get more involved with the community. There's not enough involvement.
You know,
in a
it's
relationship.
right.
You know?
It's like this. If you go sit on a college campus, because I'm as a college professor.
Yes, sir.
You know, one of my things always been you're going to college to learn how to be leaders of tomorrow for your community.
Yes, sir.
But if you're not involved with the community now and studying what the problems are, how do you apply what you're learning to the resolution of those problems? If you sit over there for 4 years or whatever it is, then you're going to come back out. What are you going to, you don't even know what's going on. So
Yes,
that's what
sir.
the whole idea is, that whatever you're learning, you should be learning so that you can apply it as you move along, and you'll have a better idea as to what's going to work in with the problem of your community. So that's the difference between, I guess, my generation to a great extent and generation. But again, I'm delighted that you're getting involved out there.
Absolutely.
And we encourage anybody that has a child that's going to, or if you're listening, you attend Columbus State University. That'll be a child. I mean, all of us are children, somebody's child.
Right.
But my point is that you could be adults in not in a particular age. If you're 50 years old at Columbus State University, want to be a part of the collegiate chapter, I'm sure that they will welcome you
with open arms.
With open arms.
Yes,
that
sir.
part, no doubt about it.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's glad. I'm delighted. And I look forward to, supporting you in whatever way we can. And of course, hopefully they get involved with us working with the New Era Coalition of Columbus, Georgia, to address ways right now. In those sociology classes, those political science classes, those criminal justice classes, those education classes, how can whatever you're teaching them, how can you help children avoid, a life of criminal behavior and a criminal mindset? Because we're not just trying to stop gun violence, but we're also trying to provide a path for them to become, as we say now, effective people that will help resolve problems in our community. And that's what all about. It's like anything. The children don't have a purpose in their life. If they're just going to school to get a job, that's not no reason to go to school. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you go to school so that you can get an education, so you can resolve problems in the community, and let that be your job.
Yeah, absolutely.
So whatever career, profession you have, if it's not helping to improve the quality of life of our society, then what are you doing for real?
That's a question of the evening.
That part, exactly right.
Good.
Exactly right. And so of course we had a great time. My report, of course, is that we had our annual Georgia Commission on Family Violence, and a lot of good workshops up there, and of course, I want to remind people that it becomes ever present. Look, when you're having domestic problems, don't wait until you got to call the police you got a problem, and there don't seem to be no end to the problem. Seek out to those of us who are what they call subject matter experts.
Yes,
So we can help
yes,
to
sir.
resolve, is it co-parenting issues, or is it issues around intimacy? Is it issues around communication? Or is it issues around the inability to be friends? Because at the end of the day, as a matter of fact, I think probably need to play some of those videos that we have that talk about relationship. But if you're in a relationship, you're dating, and you're dating because you're trying to get married. That's the wrong reason. You date to become friends, and then if you choose to move that forward to become a married to partners, that's something entirely different. But they don't put the cart before the horse. But you start off, you start off
Yes, yeah.
on the wrong foot when you go into something with the objective of being other than friends. And I'm saying that's in any situation. In any situation you go into, you should go into it with friends. And now some friendships blossom and go to the other level. And so you become intimate friends. Some people may say friends with benefits.
Yes,
but the bottom line is that be friends first. It's just like you tell your child who plays a sport, it wants to get a athletic scholarship. But my thing is that you should tell them, I want you to be a scholar athlete. Okay, not an athlete scholar.
Yes,
you know what I'm saying? In other words, you want to be a scholar first, and then athletics will support your scholarship.
Yes, sir.
But you're not. You're not going to college to play football. You're going to college to get education, and playing football will help you.
Yeah,
hopefully get that education, and perhaps maybe it might help you pay some of the bills for that education.
Starting on the right foot.
That's right.
Prioritizing.
That's right. And we're still looking for mentors. Look, I don't know. In Columbus, Georgia, do we have any men out there? All the males afraid to become men? And that's the question. This is my truth be told.
Truth be told, yes,
if truth be told, there are a lot of guys out here, and I'm not saying you're not good people, but my point is this: there are hundreds and hundreds of young boys out here that need mentors. You're not a man if you're not trying to join our mentoring movement to become a part of, and not just, I'm mentoring somebody. What are you doing? You don't know how to mentor nobody.
Yes, sir.
Learn how to mentor somebody, but you don't even know what the goal is. It's not about just having them know you. No, there's a goal here. There's a goal of helping them become connected with other young people who are going to transform their community. Our community is not flourishing. Many times people talk about it, and take great pride in it. If you go downtown Columbus, Georgia, like many people say, man, I went down, people who live here, and they say, man, I didn't know I was in Columbus, Georgia, down there, downtown, down on Front Street, down on First Ave. It was like another place. But the fact of the matter is that we want all of Columbus to be like that. We want all Columbus to be flourishing, not just one area to be flourishing. Now, understand that you were mentioning earlier when we were doing our prep that there's some people that $1 million
yes, sir.
were given out under the name is a wolf in sheep clothing. Crime prevention. I want to know how much of that money, and everybody who got that money, what are they having to contribute to crime prevention?
Absolutely, yeah. Well,
Okay.
I just so happen to have it right here.
Okay, well let us hear it. I want you all out there. Is my mic on? I'm not
yes,
sure.
sir.
For some reason or another, maybe.
Might be
maybe.
short in there.
Okay, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay, yeah. For some reason or another, we get to this same place every time. And I hope the new people on the city council would get that stuff straightened out, because all the funds, that's the thing about it. People talk about, what's going on in the street with our children, but at the same time, they don't want to step up and be a part of the solution. So that's what I'm saying, is that we need to get less static.
gonna take a break and then come back.
Okay, so I'm saying that we need to step up. I mean, we need to step up, and I'm saying that our ministerial community. Again, if anyone out there listening, if you attend the church, will you please? I don't know how y'all do it at y'all church, but we need mentors. Okay, and we want to provide free training for mentors. Okay, because our young people don't just need somebody in their life; they need somebody that know how to help them prepare to solve the problems of our community. And many times, people want to do something good, but they don't know what to do. But we do have some people who do know what to do and do know how to do it. So we want to make sure of that. Okay. So what was that?
Take a break.
Yeah.
Take a break. Come back.
HD2 Columbus, Fort Mitchell, Fort Moore is Smooth 92.1.
Attorney advertising. Local counsel, Alexander Shahara trial attorneys. Paid active dramatization. Past results do not guarantee future results in each case.
Just got in an accident. You're hurt really bad. You headed to the hospital. You hurt really bad. You ain't worried about it. Got a smile on your face. You call it top dog. You got a smile on your face. The money coming. Top dog gonna get it. Gonna make him go fetch. He gonna come back with money.
Test one. Yeah, that's still static now. What was that? Okay. Test.
This top dollar. This big money. This top dog. This who you call. If you get into an accident, that's who you call. Any accident.
Test.
You do when you get in the car. I hope it's that you buckle up. I'm Thomas Bussey, a 5th grade teacher in Georgia. Buckling up is the single most important thing you can do to protect yourself in a crash. Your seatbelt is your best friend. Like peanut butter and jelly, socks and shoes, macaroni and cheese, seatbelts and car safety just go together.
Message from the Georgia DOT, proud sponsor of Keep Georgia Safe.
It's kickoff for a cause, supporting Twin Cedars and the Ann Elizabeth Shepherd Home, Thursday, August 29th. For tickets and details, visit twin/events.
Now you can fly anywhere in the world and pay discount prices on your airline tickets. Book a flight today to London, Paris, Madrid, or anywhere else you want to go and pay a lot less guaranteed. Call the International Travel Department right now at Low Cost Airlines.
800-708-3092. 800-708-3092. That's 800-708-3092.
Science is not the issue. It is the culture. We are operating in another people's culture. We eating other people's food. You see that? We taking other people's medicine. We're following other people's gods, or what you would call religion, and we wondering why we out of our minds. We're out of our original Aboriginal African minds, and we're in the minds of Europeans and other people, and that's why we don't have no peace, we don't have no identity, we don't have no language, we don't have no land, we don't know who we are. We identify with the color of a crown and shirt, we call ourselves black, then you'll say you're African American, which is 2 continents. Who are you? If you ask Italian, he's gonna say, I'm Italian, I speak Italian, I'm from Italy. You ask a Japanese, I'm Japanese, I'm from Japan, I speak Japanese. Or Chinese, I'm from China, I speak Chinese, I'm Chinese. As soon as you ask a so-called black person who they are, they're gonna say, I'm African American and I speak English. We don't know who we are. So since we don't know who we are, and you strip the nationality and the identification of a people, you can tell them who they are. And that's what's been told to us. So I'm just here pulling the curtains off, saying they lying. They'll send you to the doctor right now. You go to the doctor, they will treat you like a 40-year-old Caucasian man. What about a 14-year-old so-called African-American woman? She goes to the doctor right now, and they will treat her like a 40-year-old Caucasian man.
You said you look like you're about to say something, Gianna.
I have a lot to say.
Okay, go ahead.
Like based on like growing up in my household, I was raised in a very strict Italian household, and you know, both of my parents are in my life and they've been together for like over 30 years and everything. And back to your original question, in terms of being like the disciplinary and who's going to listen, like if the child's going to listen to the dad or the mom more, it is the dad. And I will say it is the dad. I remember, and even in my childhood, you know, my mom was there and she was so supportive and she's been supportive. And I love her for that. But when it came down to maybe us kids getting out of control, she would always threaten calling my dad, even though he was at work. Why would he? Because we were scared of my dad.
Yeah.
Because we knew that he would do something. And not like, I don't love my dad or I don't care about my dad and everything, but he instilled that tough love.
But they were married, right?
Yeah.
They were married. Another married household. Right. A lot of us was not raised in a married household.
Due to mothers, due to women. We're not raised in a two-parent household because women are leaving men.
Excuse me, if I can chime in a little bit.
Okay, let her lay her plan and I got you.
Okay.
Can I? Because like I talk to both of my parents, I'm very close with them, and I also I spend a lot of time with my dad, and I ask him a lot of questions in terms of like male perspective and you know how he deals with things, and I try and put myself in his shoes and how things are for him and how much stress like he has on his day-to-day life. And oh gosh, like in terms of you know being married and everything, it's about choosing your battles, because us as women, like we are more emotional, but as men, like they are more logical based on biology. So my dad has always said, like, I pick my battles. Like that's just how it goes. That's how marriage is, you know, but that's my 2 cents.
I agree, by the way.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I agree with you as well, but I feel like when you're raised in a one-parent household, the way he's blaming the women because she left. So I'm gonna tell you, like, for my experience with my family, I feel like I was raised in a Caribbean household.
Mm-hmm.
You're basically raised to be a wife since you're born. Excuse me?
Nah, que lo que? What that mean? It's something like...
It's like, what's up? What's good?
Okay, it's Dominican.
What's really good?
Okay,
yes.
Go ahead, finish.
Dios mío. Anyways, like I was saying, so like I was raised Caribbean. You're basically raised to be a wife since you're 5 years old. They teach you how to cook, clean, you know, everything a man wants and needs. That's what you're supposed to do. If a man is unfaithful, you have to take it. If a man, you know, a man can do whatever he wants and you're just supposed to be there for him. That's how we are raised. I don't know how y'all are raised, but that's how we are raised.
Okay, what's your point?
My point is that if my mom raised me single, it was because of infidelities of him. So you're saying that she's supposed to stay with infidelity and everything and raise us and be unhappy? And then, because if she's unhappy and we see the arguments and all of that, we're not going to be raised right. So she left because she wanted us to be in a healthy environment.
Okay, so when you're using, like, think about how, I want you to think about how flawed the logic is. I'm gonna walk you through it, right? You're using happiness as a metric of success for the kids. The mother's happiness as a metric of success for the kids. So you mean to tell me that, well, since your father was the one that made your mother unhappy, but she lacked the ability to regulate her emotions, she lacked the ability to, why is the man cheating? No, he could cheat for a multitude of reasons. Maybe he just want to scratch that itch. Or maybe he was cheating because she wasn't compliant. She wasn't doing the things that she needed to do and was holding that man down. But cheating isn't the end all be all of a relationship. When it's a marriage, it's till the end. It's till death do its part, through broke, rich or poor, through all of that other stuff, till death, all of it. So it wasn't never said cheating was, if you cheat, let's check that off. Well, I'm not with you no more. So
we're just supposed to accept that a man is going to cheat on us forever just because something.
No one said that.
And
but it's about your mother made a decision, right?
She made a decision for us to be raised in a peaceful household, because the arguing and everything.
You think it's peaceful.
It was peaceful when he wasn't there.
You think it's peaceful. So
Just
now let's
saying.
break it through. Let's talk about specifically your situation. Women are higher in trait neuroticism than men. Women are feminine. The kids you agreed to, they really don't listen to the mother. So men are the disciplinarians. Men keep their daughters off of stripper poles and their sons out of prison.
por
That
Dios.
just it is what it is. So, and it's statistics on it that back it up.
That's
So
statistics
you're-
of the United States,
I
right?
got you, but your mother.
Okay,
I got
I'm
you.
just saying because
It
my
is from the
parents are
United
not from
States.
here. It's totally different.
Totally fine. All I'm
Right.
saying is this.
Okay, that's
Your
what I'm
mom,
saying.
the reason why in this world you got the reason why you have two baby fathers and you have two kids. That's the reason because you wasn't raised in a two-parent household.
Right.
You didn't have a
It's not
father
gonna
to
be
guide you through life.
I agree
You didn't
with
have
that.
a father to instill certain traits and behaviors in you so you can see the red flags and dismiss those red
I
flags.
agree with that. I
so,
really
but
do.
you was raised in a single mother household. So
Right.
imagine if you had your father to give you that masculine guidance. So therefore, your mother was only seeking her happiness, but now you got two kids with two baby
Well,
fathers and they don't got no father
Can
in
I
their life.
give you a part two?
Because of my mother was unhappy. That
Mi
doesn't make any
amor,
sense.
can I give
If
you a
that's
part
the
two?
metric of success, it's an L.
Mi amor, can I give you a part two?
There's
to
no
the
part
story?
two to it.
Yes, there is.
Okay, what's the part two to the
They
anecdotal
got
experience?
together when I was 14 years
Okay,
old.
yes.
I traveled to DR. I was in their two-parent household and it was super toxic. I had to separate fights, jump on my dad to separate them and everything. And at the end of the day, I had to leave my home for my safety. You understand what I'm saying? He was not a real man. He was not a man that would instill anything in me.
Guess what?
He
Guess
was
what? Look,
a
real quick, time
man
out.
that wanted
Angelica.
everybody. He wanted to overpower everyone.
Angelica, look.
Everybody was his slave in his house, and if you didn't do what he
Angelica,
wanted you to
look.
do, he would resort to violence. He would resort
Uh-huh.
to physical and mental abuse.
Guess what, Angelica?
He was not a real man. So don't tell me that if my mom and dad was together, I would be better because I was not.
Look.
Because I lasted there for maybe 2 years, and I had to
I
leave
got
my
you.
home for my
Now let's land this
safety
plane. Angelica,
and my mental
your
peace.
mother
She picked wrong. That's
chose
what you're
that
gonna say?
man.
Exactly.
She chose that man. So
Right.
she chose an inadequate dude. So
She
guess
did.
what? Did your mother have a father in her life?
Yes, she did.
Okay, well, the father didn't do his job.
Ay, Dios
Goddamn.
mío. You better not get on my grandpa.
But the-
That's my
but that's how
grandpa.
they do-
Oh,
grandpa
no, mi
didn't do-
amor.
but
Not
that's the
with my
issue.
grandpa.
That's the
No,
issue.
mi amor.
That's-
So again, the debate goes on, and the long and short of it is that at some point or another, we have to stop letting the world determine our happiness, and also we have to take responsibility for what we do and what we don't do. The whole notion is that sometimes we put the cart before the horse, and that's what we talked about before. People never become friends; they become captors. And unfortunately, if someone is going to be in a relationship, each person should be givers. In other words, each person should be concerned about, okay, and I think that probably the discussion should go something like this. People meet and they talking about relationship. This is actually, well, hey, look, what does it take? What does being happy mean to you? And then the other person said, what does happiness mean to you? And then they try to match up, whether or not. Then also, if there's some misunderstanding about what is the goal of the relationship. The goal of the relationship is somebody that you can contribute to, not what somebody can do for you, but what you can do with somebody else. And many times people go into what they can get out of the relationship as opposed to what they can put in. And the notion is that don't give if you can't afford emotionally, intellectually, spiritually, then don't go into a relationship if you can't afford to give unconditionally. And I think that's another thing also that people just do not understand what that word means, is to love unconditionally. Most people don't even know, they're clueless about what love is, because love is unconditional. Because if it's God's love, and that's the only true love it is, because if it's anything else, and God gives us air and water in spite of our actions. But of course, we limit our ability to be successful with the water, the air, the land that's been given to us by our own attitude. But if we follow the mandate of investing in and whatever changes we make that is for the greater good, not just for, if the trees is worried about just the trees, if the earth just worried about just the earth, if the sun just worried about the sun, it's all these things coming together to contribute their parts that makes life what it is. And so therefore, same thing with relationship. It's not what you get out of a relationship that makes a relationship, it's what you put into the relationship that makes a relationship. But if you don't know what to put in, you don't really understand what it requires. And that was obvious from that discussion. They don't know what a healthy relationship looks like. They know what unhappiness is, but they don't even know and they expect somebody else to make them happy. Nobody can make anybody happy. You have to claim your happiness, and you bring happiness to the relationship. If each person bring their own happiness, as opposed to going into a relationship expecting the other person to bring them happiness, then it's going to always fail. But if you bring happiness, it's just like we're going to eat. If you bring some food and I bring some food, then we're going to have some food to eat. Okay, but if we both going to see what the other person done brought, then and nobody go eat. And I think that's part of the problem, is that nobody's eating because everybody is expecting somebody else to bring the food. And to bring the food that they like. No, you bring the food that you like. I bring the food that I like. And then the idea that you try to learn to like the food that I bring, and I try to like the food that you bring. And if we're going to have a chance of having a meal, it's going to take that. In other words, you trying to, it's just like when you go to a foreign country or something. You try to learn the food. You try to learn the culture. You try to learn, how to appreciate why people there do what they do. And you'll do the same thing in a male-female relationship. Each person had to try to understand what makes this person the way they are. They don't spend enough time getting to know each other. They don't spend enough time with that. They're so busy trying to figure out what can they get from somebody else. And that's insecurity, and that's deficit. Okay? And that means that you're not prepared to be in a relationship if you are going in insecure already. You're insecure. You're envious. You're jealous. Okay? The idea of you coming to bring something, and if you're bringing something, that's what you should be doing when you meet somebody. In your mind, you should say, now what can I bring to this person's life that can help make their life better? And that's what the other person should be doing. Say, what can I bring that can make this person's life better? What can I do to make their life better? Now, you don't have to worry about nobody else, and he don't have to worry about nobody else. It's just a matter of this person here, this is what I have to contribute. The other person said, well, this is what I have to contribute. Now, if you don't appreciate that, well, nice knowing you, and we'll keep in touch. And maybe at some point in the future, I'll have something else to offer, and you have something else to offer, or either I'll come to appreciate what you had to offer more, or you'll come to appreciate what I have to offer more. That's the spirit of divine masculine and divine feminine, which most people out there listening do not have a clue, and they're going on the basis of the culture, and the culture is based upon the economy. That was a time when they needed big families, so therefore they encouraged people to stay together. Then they came to a point in time where they needed the males and the females to work in the factory. So they set up daycare for the children. They didn't want there to be a strong family. Okay, and today they don't want there to be any loyalty. They want the loyalty, which it is, to be to your job, not to your family. So therefore, that was a time when you needed the loyalty to the family, because you as a family, you had to work together. But today, the economic system says, really, we want you to be more loyal to the job. That means that when you come to work, you're going to be more respectful to the boss. But when you go home, y'all can fight like the fool all you want to. You don't have to like each other. But when you come to work, you better act like you got some sense. Otherwise, you're going to lose this job. So, and when the fact of the matter is that your friendship with your intimate partner should be of more value than any job. And if not, then that relationship is not a relationship at all, other than it's not a relationship, it's a situationship. Yeah, that's a situationship, not a relationship. We're not, because there's no relating. It's just a situation that they're trying to figure out how can they manipulate it, how can they exploit it for their own interests. And that's unfortunately how things are. And that would happen when you don't have a culture and you're trying to fit into a culture that's based upon basically greed, as opposed to one based upon good or God. So, any comments? Anybody call in today?
Yes, I did want to give a shout out, Mr. Tony Connor. He said, "I'm tuning in, cuz."
All right, okay. What's up with you? What's your T?
I think he's interested in being a mentor. I think that's what he was saying.
All right, no doubt about it. We got to do it. I got to do it, and we're gonna make a difference. And you mothers out there, if you need a mentor, give us a call 706-221-4830. We're trying to say that, look. If you need us to mediate between you and dad, we can do that too. If dad, you and dad trying to make it work, but you're not quite there, give us a call. We'll sit down with you, and we got some teams of people we're training to be able to do some mediation, to advocate for better communication. And because we need more co-parenting. We're at a point in history now that, again, people are not necessarily staying together, even though economically it would be better if people be pooling their resources, but at least you can co-parent. And that means that you don't have to tear each other down, that you should at least have a unified, if you really care about your child, you're not going to have the child to have to choose between the mother and the father. The mother should encourage the child to be respectful of the father, regardless of how she feels about him or thinks about him. And the father should do the same thing about the mother. Should not put the mother down, regardless of how they should maintain those adult issues among the adults. But when they come together as parents, co-parents, then they should be pretty much on the same page. And if they're not on the same page, either both of them are wrong, or either one of them is wrong.
We got Miss Natalie on.
Oh, we do? Okay, let's go to Miss Natalie Purdy. Hello.
Hello.
There she is. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
All right, fine. I know, glad to get you here, and I'm glad you did pop on here. But real quick, I want everybody to know, of course, I really enjoyed the conference and the toga line and everything.
Oh, thank you.
And I guess you made that toga line go, didn't you?
Yes.
Yes, you did. Now, for my listening audience and my viewing audience, tell us a little bit about you're a motivational speaker and you advocate for certain issue. Why don't you give us a brief summary, because we're going to bring you back and have a more extensive discussion about some of these TV shows that you've been engaged with. But tell us a little bit about what you do and why you do it.
Absolutely. So I'm an advocate against domestic violence, and my strong emphasis is on teen dating violence. I also teach about healthy relationships. I am on the CJCC Task Force for Human Trafficking. And I also just deal with any kind of violence, whether it be sexual assault, child abuse, elder abuse. All of it is just, justice is dear to my heart.
Right.
And the reason that I do it is that I'm a survivor of teen dating violence.
Right. And again, and that's kind of interesting because, see, the thing about it is that, and I was just talking about it, is that, many times the fact of the matter is that we're not really prepared for dating per se. In the culture, our culture that we grew up in, this American culture, is not a culture that prepares people to have meaningful relationships. And so, let's talk for a minute about the culture. What is it that, for example, that you should have known and he should have known before you all tried to have an adult-based relationship, really, I think, in many cases?
Absolutely. I think the most important thing first is talking about, when you're talking to anyone about a relationship, the first thing you have to talk about is a healthy relationship. Because if the relationship is not healthy, but you don't know the signs and you don't know about it, then you won't be able to really recognize that it's not a healthy relationship.
Right,
So I think that's first and foremost, that I didn't have the experience, but I didn't have to know all of the signs about what's healthy and what's not healthy.
Right.
Going into dating, it was the basics. It was, if somebody puts their hands on you, if they do it once, they'll do it again, and you should leave. And so I was never taught about the other types of abuse that can take place when you're dating. The emotional, the verbal, which is kind of like, verbal is kind of like a given, just like physical, but emotional, you might not really recognize it as abuse because you don't have that experience. Now, and when we were at the conference, my class was about the cyber abuse, and which is really, really a lot nowadays that a lot of people don't know about. That's important that, you know, our young people are more aware of.
Let me ask you this. See, one of the problems that we have real quickly, I guess, and we got to come back to this. But my thing is that you have to be healthy before you can have a healthy relationship.
That's correct.
And most times today, and I tell people many times, our parents do not intentionally mess us up. They don't intentionally, they give us the best that they could given their own circumstances. But the fact of the matter is that there's no way for them to really, it's difficult for them to prepare you for the type of the type of relationship that we think in our minds or that we see on TV, and it does not exist in real life because there's some presupposition about what you bring to the table. And the other thing about it is that why should teens be trying to date like they are husband and wife, like they get them? Anyway, the only thing they should be concerned about is how to be friends.
That's correct. That's correct. You have young people getting in a relationship and they're in the 9th grade and they're already talking about how they need money to buy these expensive gifts. Right.
And also being jealous of the fact, okay, you and I in a relationship, I'm jealous because you talk to somebody else. Why? We're just teenagers. I mean, you're gonna have friends, I'm gonna have friends. I mean, and if I'm talking to somebody else, so what? I mean, why make that, if there's going to be some process of elimination, you do that or I'll do that. If not, then so be it. I mean, what difference does it make? But many times that mindset there's not a place for it because the peer pressure is that you do certain things and you expect certain things, right?
That's correct. That's correct. And that's the one thing about they should be learning about healthy relationships. Being able to have friends, being able to agree to disagree.
And I think that's what we're going to do. We're going to cut it right there. And the next time we're going to talk about a rites of passage, passage program for healthy relationships among teens. How about that?
Perfect.
Thank you for joining us, Miss Purdy.
Thank you.
So we're going to talk real soon. All right.
Okay,
and what's the next show you're gonna be on then?
The next one, I have a couple of conferences coming up, but I don't have a show yet.
Okay, well, you're gonna make sure to let us know about them. We look forward to it, but we're gonna be talking real soon.
Okay.
God bless.
God bless you.
Good night.